chat to us today. And I've got to say, congratulations on this documentary. I've had a chance to watch it over the weekend, and it is an absolutely sensational documentary.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. It's not bad for a first-time documentary then, is it?
Yeah, I guess that will be my first question, was what first made you want to make this film, but also how did you first hear about the Scattered People program and band in the first place?
Okay, John, away you go.
Well, I'm a chiropractor. That's my day job, and but Lizzy and I were already doing a lot of filming and interviewing with the group that we were with, and I've always loved photography and artistic expression and that sort of thing. And we were actually looking for a project in a way, but I was just waiting and listening. And Robbie James was a patient of mine. Now, Robbie James is the lead guitar of the iconic rock band Ganga Jang. And he was my patient for a while, and we were chatting away on the he was on the table, and he said he was making an album with people seeking asylum, and that just piqued my interest. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Here's a group of people who are at that time, 6 years ago, was not known about these people and what was happening. A lot was kept silent. So I was interested to actually come along and do what Robbie was doing, because Robbie was going into BITA, the detention centre we have in Brisbane, where the asylum seekers were being held. And they had this band, Scattered People Band, which he told me about, who was taking music into this centre. And I thought, I played guitar a bit, and then, maybe I could join in and do that. But in the end, it was a day that didn't suit me, so I was working. And, so I offered to Robbie, would you like me to help? Would you like us to help promote your album and do some video or, a little promo? And Lizzy and I went along to interview Robbie and then two asylum seekers. And after we did that, it just changed our lives. We felt we were so shaken, if you like, by what they had been through and the information in those interviews that they gave us, which was a lot more than ended up in the film. And I remember driving back from one of the interviews with Matt, and Lizzy was crying, and we said we just have to do something to help these people and change what's happening, because we didn't like what was happening to these people that was being created by Australia, if you like.
And also totally ignorant to what actually happens to them when some flee from their country. They have no idea where they're going. They just literally have to get a ticket, the first ticket out, which is what you've seen in the film. And to get on a boat, you or I have no idea what that would be like. To leave everything behind, just one bag. You get on a boat, you're lucky if you live, lucky if you die, whatever. And then end up where? And then Indonesia, trying to then get to Australia. All of these things, we have no idea, no knowledge. And so it's also been really educational for us, thinking, wow, these people actually do this. You see it on the news, but to actually speak with people that have actually experienced that and what it's like for them is very, very different. And so we wanted to actually get that on camera, to get other people to hear their stories in a way that is very candid and very open, because a lot of asylum seekers and refugees, they actually don't want to tell their stories. Some are ashamed that they've done what they've done. Some want to actually get back into society, even though we don't embrace or sort of accept them. So it's actually, we were really lucky that Mas and Saha wanted to actually share with us why they did it, what they did, how it was, and all that, through their love of music, really. So we wanted to do something. That's how it all began.
I think that was one of the most important parts of the documentary as well, because I've kind of been lucky that I have a wife who through her counselling work has gone into the detention centre down here, and I've heard the stories and heard why there are people in detention and why people come to Australia as refugees. But when you go out on the street and you talk to people, a lot of the attitude, especially down here in Melbourne, is, well, if they didn't want to be put in detention, then they shouldn't have paid a person smuggler to come here. And that makes me really angry. But I think the importance of this documentary is that it actually does tell that story. How difficult was that for you to actually get Saha and Mars to tell their stories on camera?
Well, it wasn't difficult at all
because we're very open, humble, loving people, I guess. We welcome them into our home, and I think a lot of it is, for me, I love people. I'm a people's person, and it just worked with John and I because he's brilliant with camera and lighting and audio. He loves that. He's passionate, and I love people. So if you put the two together, we created this space where they were incredibly open, and they're still in our lives now.
Well, like yourself, also we're aware of their counselling background. I'm a chiropractor, and I know the body physically, and then I was interested to learn about the emotions, so I did a lifeline training course. We've also done workshops where we explore, what life's all about, gestalt and that sort of thing, men's work, women's work. So we're quite interested in human nature and how that works, and creating a space for these people to open up and allow. That was the actual interview process. But as far as them wanting to tell their story, they actually did. They wanted to help people who had come to the country and were so misunderstood, like as you say, and they wanted to do their part, and we wanted to do our part. So we became great friends, and we love each other, and we're still in contact.
Yeah. Was making a feature-length documentary, was that daunting for you at all? Like, this documentary is such an amazing documentary. You would never tell that it's your first documentary, but was that kind of daunting for you in the start when you were thinking, wow, I'm going to make a documentary?
Honestly, no, because we didn't have a clue what we were doing. Seriously, if we'd have known then what we know now, 6.5 years later, but it was our passion that drove us, our love of what we wanted to do in making a difference in the education side. But it was really extraordinary. It sort of happened organically. So if we didn't know where we were going to go, or we needed advice, or what do we do now, it's just we put out, you're great at research and stuff. And
but we also knew a few people who knew a few people, and we ended up, getting the interviews with the major Australian musicians, John Butler and Missy Higgins. It was just luck that Brian Prokopas, who is the founder of the Scattered People, knew John Woodruff, who was the manager of the Angels and Savage Garden and Baby Animals.
Yeah.
And he said to John Woodruff, can you give us a bit of a hand? We've got a couple of people who want to make a documentary. And John said, yeah, sure. And he put us in touch with John Watson, who manages Missy Higgins and John Butler. I think John Butler's moved on now. But, and then they said yes to the interviews, and so did quite a lot of other, musicians. And we ended up, really enjoying that part of the process, doing the interviews. But
that was the best part, probably, travelling around and meeting these extraordinary people, talking to them and sharing and filming it and everything. The hard part has been after that.
Putting it together.
Yeah.
As far as editors, we actually got in contact, I can't remember how, with a brilliant editor, Lindy Harrison, who we really have to credit for finding the story out of all the footage that we created, because we just filmed everything and interviewed everyone, and she put together a beautiful story, and then Jimmy Fenton, who finished off the editing for us as Lindy was unavailable, added his part, and that's what you see. So, we nursed the process on a lot, and we persisted with it. It's persistence, and it was our desire to do something when we got depressed and down, and we thought we're never going to do this. Something would happen, or we just pick ourselves up and just keep going.
And the people, the Scattered People band as well. We went into there's a little place here in Brisbane. It's called the Romero Centre, and we try and get the people together there and do music. So we go once a week, then once a fortnight, but it didn't work without it's a very different situation when they were in Biter and music was all had, if you like, and then they came out into the community because they wanted to continue to do it. But when we tried to restart that, it just didn't work. It was very, very different circumstances. So it worked in those 15 years, probably 16 years, perfectly.
Historically, there were 3 waves of asylum, people seeking asylum, who came over from Indonesia. There's one around 2000, there's one around 2006, and there's one around 2012. So these are the waves of, where things happened overseas and people fled. So this is the 3rd wave around 2011 and 12. A lot of people came from Iran, as Saha and Mas did. and that was that wave. And as that wave subsided, there were less people going into the community centres. They'd found their ways into the community, and they were living, in basically integrated way. However, their visas were temporary protection visas, which are quite, restrictive for them. They know they'll never become Australians, and this is something that we would like to see changed ultimately.
Yeah, is that something that you can see yourself tackling in another documentary as well? Having a look at what happens with somebody emotionally when they find out that they're not going to be an Australian citizen. Is that something that you would like to make a documentary on as well?
Well, it's something that's hinted at in the film, I suppose, and we know a lot of these people, and they actually want to move on. They want to move on in their lives, and they don't want to keep on coming back and be reminded of this identity that they had. Because of what you mentioned, a lot of Australians think of asylum seekers who came by boat negatively. They're actually really okay with people coming, by the traditional system. They want migration. 80% of people approve of that, but I think only 20%, less than 20%, actually approve or feel good about people coming by boat. And this is, I think, due to the government's negative rhetoric about it, and it's a leadership sort of issue there. That could have been so much different if we just accepted those people and stopped the boats in another way. And again, that's a problem we don't really know how to solve.
No.
But as far as how they are when they get here and the psychology of that, that's what's created that, and that's what really disappointed us about our political system, I guess, the way it's used them as pawns, and doing a documentary on the effects of that would be quite interesting. So it's something we probably would consider.
Yeah, it's their mental health. There isn't not one that we've met over the years that hasn't suffered mentally, and some are just sort of saying, look, I haven't actually thought about going back anymore. I'm trying to get on with my life, and I've got friends that don't even know this is what happened, and I don't want them to know because they'll treat me differently. I don't want people to feel sorry for me, so it's a whole different...
It's a limbo. It's a state of limbo. They can't move forward completely. They try, and they buy houses, and they, get on with their lives as much as they can, but they're still, have this visa status where they don't have a home. They can't go home, and they can't, completely settle. And we think that should change, personally. But that's an issue that's bigger than us.
Definitely. Well, hopefully this documentary will get out there and a lot of people will watch it and it will change their opinion, because I guess once people's opinions are changed, they're going to be more likely to contact their local MP and to be more vocal about what is happening. And I guess I have to ask now, how do you feel now that the documentary is about to have these special screenings, and can we expect in the future that it might get a general cinema release as well?
Well, we'd love for it to have a general cinema release, and that could happen in the future. At the moment, we made a decision, which was not a good financial decision, but it was a decision that the film be released by the asylum seeker and refugee organisations, so that they hold the screenings. So that's why there are not so many of them at the moment, but this will increase. They hold the screenings, and then the public goes along, and the organisation gets all the money. If you have a general cinema release, there's only about 25% profit, but if you have the organisations holding it, they get much more, for that. And we decided that was the best way to go, because we want to see them being helped on the ground. And, we'd love to have a broadcast release on ABC or SBS or Foxtel Arts, because it is essentially an arts documentary as well. It's an arts and social interest documentary. So there's a lot that could be said about the music. But yes, a general cinema release would be terrific. So we may talk to distributors in the future about that.
Definitely. Well, John and Izzy, I guess to finish up, what would you like to say to people out there before they head along to see Scattered People? Because I do feel this is one of the most important documentaries that people need to see that we've had come out over the last couple of years.
Oh, thank you very much for that. For me, it's totally changed my life for the better, for the more.
Knowing these.
Yes, well, obviously knowing these people, but it's just opened my world, and my journey in life is very, very different. It's been very humbling, very moving for me, and I'm a very emotional, sensitive person anyway. We've made the most extraordinary friends along the way, and I would just love everybody to have an open heart, and yes, love the music, but it's what brings us together. For me, my religion is being human. We're all humans here. And if all humans could just be kind to one another, doesn't matter where we come from or how we are, but just embrace one another. And there's an education side, we feel, to the documentary, is that hopefully people will see that. They'll say, hey, yeah, what can I do? And, I didn't know that, the aha moment. I didn't really know that. Wow, okay. That's what I'd like.
Yeah, it's people to take action and to just do something to become aware of the situation, why it's like that, and then if we can choose leaders and choose pathways, because change happens from the grassroots and it happens with leadership. So if people can make decisions that take them in a direction that makes this country a place that we're really proud of, then that's what I want to see. I want to feel proud of our country, and it's very hard when I see some of the things that are going on. I'd like to see change. Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely. Well, John, Izzy, we thank you so much for joining us on the show today. We can't recommend this documentary highly enough to our listeners, so we hope a lot of them do head along to the screenings wherever the closest is to them around Australia. And if you are listening to the show at the moment, all of those screening dates and times and locations are up on our website, so check them out. John, Izzy, thank you so much for joining us. We cannot wait to see what you do next, because I think you are just natural filmmakers when it comes to documentary filmmaking, so we cannot wait to see your next project.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, David.
Thank you very much, David, for asking us to be on your show. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And the world premiere is in Sydney on the 17th. That's run by the Asylum Seekers Centre in Sydney.
Yeah, and in Melbourne, it's 22nd, Asylum Seeker Resource Centre, and that's on at the Nova.
That's correct.
Carlton.
Yep. And all of those dates and times are up on our website, so people will be able to check them out as well. So thank you so much. I'll let you go. Have a great day, and hopefully we get to meet up sometime in the future.
That will be lovely. Look after your boys.
I'll do. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. See you later. Bye.